of the Championship Racing Network.
Drivers, start your engines. Pull those belts down tight one more time, warm up those tires, hit your marks, and let's go racing, boys and girls. Nascar, Indycar, Formula One, Formula E, and NHRA Racing Talk. This is the Championship Racing Network. Now here's your hosts, Steve West and Matt Nicholson, with producer John Myers.
Yeah, the gang will be here very, very shortly, so make sure that you're sticking around for that. Matt's going to be by phone. I'll go ahead and warn you about that, and we'll tell you more about it in a moment. Producer John, as usual, on CRN Live on YouTube. And, well, I'm in studio. I get to talk silly season in more than one series. Oh, yeah, it's that time of the year. NHRA starts a very exclusive club. Got big changes at the International Motorsports Hall of Fame. Why? We'll tell you. Got another fan vote now open for you. If you're interested, you could vote for your favorite NASCAR, IndyCar, and or Formula One driver, or others, if you prefer. Las Vegas's track causing trouble again for Formula One. Got a lawsuit that could forge on, and it's not the one you might be thinking of. And what's the future of Trackhouse Racing's Project 91 entry? We got all that and much more as we get into CRN, the pre-Thanksgiving edition, next.
Stay right here for more on the Championship Racing Network. We're back to more racing action on the Championship Racing Network.
Yeah, let's see if we can't get this thing started, shall we? And joining by phone, if I've done my job correctly, will be one Matt Nicholson. You there?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, you're there. First of all, yeah, you're by phone. Let's go ahead and explain why you are. We talked a little bit about it on the Cross Flags podcast as well. You recently got diagnosed with RSV?
Yeah, let's just say it's not been fun this week.
I can imagine.
After this radiation treatment.
Yeah. So
after all this radiation treatments and everything, it's been, my immune system has been pure garbage.
Yeah.
It's not been fun.
Yeah. Those are treatments that you and I are both familiar with. I haven't gone through them myself. My wife has, a couple of my wife's friends, and obviously relatives of ours as well. And one of the first things they warn you about is be very, very careful about the people that you're hanging around with, because you're in a vulnerable spot at this point in time. So definitely
we're in the hard way.
Yeah, and we're praying for you about it. So just take it easy and stick with us as long as you can. How's that?
I'll do it.
All right. Let's get into this here real quick. Race recap. Not really much of a recap, truth be told, because last weekend was the season finale for the NHRA at In-N-Out Burger Dragway in Southern California. But as the old song said, it never rains in Southern California, but it pours. I could give you the whole chorus of the Albert Hammond song from the 1970s, but you get the point with the selective editing. There was something that meteorologists have most recently taken to calling an atmospheric river. Let's just call it a whole lot of rain. Yeah, it took over the area Friday through Sunday, and it wasn't set to leave anytime too soon, so the NHRA officials made the difficult decision. They went ahead and canceled the finals, meaning that whatever runs that the competitors might have made stood, and if you didn't get to run, sorry, it's breaks of the game. So here's the deal. Top Fuel champion Doug Kalita. Sean Langdon finishes 144 points back of him for second place. 163 back is Justin Ashley. Brittany Force is off to retirement in fourth place in her what is for now final season in Top Fuel at 192 down. Tony Stewart finishes fifth, 243 points behind the leader. Rest of your top 10, Clay Milliken, Steve Torrance, Sean Reed, Antron Brown, and Josh Hart. Austin Brock, I think to nobody's surprise, is now a two-time defending funny car champion, bested Matt Hagan by 101 points officially. Jack Beckman 178, back 224 behind Ron Capps. Daniel Wilkerson finishes fifth, 225 out. Rest of your top 10, Paul Lee, Chad Green, Cruz Pedregon, Spencer Hyde, and Bob Tasca III. That brings us to the Pro Stock car. The titleist, Dallas Green. He bests Greg Anderson by 92. 249 points out was Matt Hartford, Aaron Stanfield 287 out, and Corey Reed finishes 350 points behind. Filling out the top 10, Erica Enders, Eric Latino, Jed Coughlin Jr., Cody Coughlin, and Troy Coughlin Jr. Wow, it was a whole Coughlin family practically making up 6 through 10. And then in Pro Stock Motorcycle, Richard Gadsden had wrested the Pro Stock title away from Gage Herrera by a slim 21 points. Would have been very interesting to see if that could have been settled on the track and how. Matt Smith finishes third, 129 down, 163 out. Angie Smith. Braden Davis finishes fifth, 185 out of first, by far the closest of all of the top fives. Remainder of the top 10 starts with John Hall. Then you got Gianna Evaristo, Chase Van Sant, Steve Johnson, and Chris Bostic. So racing this weekend, not much. In fact, it's one race, and it is, as we air live on this Saturday, November the 22nd, tonight. U.S. time, anyway. Formula One's back in action as they come back to the United States for their third and final race of 2025. It's the Las Vegas Grand Prix on the streets of Sin City using a 17-turn, 3.8-mile long course. The race will be on ESPN tonight starting at 11 p.m. Eastern, 10 p.m. Central Time. I'll probably try and watch a pretty good portion of this anyway, just because it's a little past my bedtime, but it's the weekend, and I'm on vacation this week, so I get to do that.
I won't.
Yeah, you're probably going to be pretty sacked out, I'm sure.
Yeah, I won't.
Well, and on top of that, and we're going to get to this here in just a minute, the track is causing problems again. Second time in 3 years, and let's face it, they're only using this course for the third time in 3 years. So we'll talk about that in a moment. But first, I want to kind of do I want to kick this off in the news, I guess, by doing a more generalized racing look at things. And yes, it's local to us, but at the same point in time, this is fairly important because this is one of those things that could probably happen to almost any Hall of Fame in whatever sport you're talking about in whatever state or country you want to think of. Right here in our own backyard, after a recent scandal involving one employee whose name I'm not going to mention, that was discovered to have misspent, as they called it, thousands of dollars from the International Motorsports Hall of Fame, Alabama's governor, Kay Ivey, has announced that the entire Hall of Fame commission for the International Motorsports Hall of Fame has been relieved of their duties and replaced. Probably not fully. Spokesperson for the governor's office said this, quote, Governor Ivey's responsible for ensuring all state entities are operating effectively with transparency. The governor takes accountability very seriously. She felt difficult action was necessary. The statement also goes on to say that 18 people have been selected to take over as board members. Is that the full crew? I don't know, but that's a lot of people when you really stop and think about it. Maybe it's a position where they need that much oversight. I'll let you comment here in just a moment, Matt. Let me get through the story here. Vice Chairman Jimmy Creel is among them. He said that it is his and the new board's job to address 35 issues that got identified in a state audit that was released back in October, just last month. 30 of those issues were financial in nature. Ouch. Creel added, quote, everything that's there is something that we can address one issue at a time, but it's going to take us time. It will take us time to get everything taken care of because, as you know, a lot of people have read this audit, and there's a lot in it. The audit stated specifically that one former employee of the Hall is accused of misspending over $230,000, and it's still being investigated by the state attorney general's office, with Creel only saying about that, quote, as far as the criminal charges, we don't have any aspect or any elements in there. We don't do anything with that. So the question is this for Creel. Is this going to affect the Hall of Fame in its future? Creel responded, this is a viable museum. My passion is, I love museums. The rest of the board, I mean, there's people that are passionate about museums, passionate about the raceway. They're passionate about this museum. So we have the capabilities on the board to keep this as a very, very sustainable and viable museum right here. And the truth of the matter is that is exactly what it is. And we don't talk, truthfully, I don't think, enough about the International Motorsports Hall of Fame because they're not, I say active. They haven't inducted a new class in well over a decade, going on 20 years now. But that doesn't mean that it's not still a very cool place to go in. Look at all the people that have been inducted from all different kinds of motorsports. This is the International Motorsports Hall of Fame. It's not just NASCAR or one specific kind of racing. It is across all different aspects of motorsports. And they've got a lot of great, cool exhibits and a lot of cool race cars that you can go in and you can check this place out. I don't think, honestly, this really gets enough good press over the course of time.
Yeah, this is an unfortunate thing, but and I'm in agreement with you. It's not going to be a lot of good press from it all because it's I don't know. It's just a tricky situation. What it sounds like to me.
Yeah, I agree. And I saw somebody online ask whether or not, why was the state involved in it? Well, because this is a tourist attraction. The state has a definite interest in all tourist attractions because obviously it brings tax money into the state, not just on a local level, but on a statewide level. So something like this, the state does have involvement in. Probably, somebody asked, it wasn't an ask, it was, I'm trying to remember the exact quote, but they were talking about how NASCAR, I can't figure out a way to put this politely, so I'm just going to say they claim that NASCAR screws everything up. Well, NASCAR doesn't have anything to do with the International Motorsports Hall of Fame. So this isn't on them.
No.
You know, NASCAR owns Talladega Superspeedway. They own the land that technically that the International Motorsports Hall of Fame sits on, but other than that, NASCAR doesn't really have anything to do with the IMHO. It's just not their cup of tea. It's not something that they oversee. They have the NASCAR Hall of Fame. That's theirs. It's in Charlotte, North Carolina, and you and I have been there, and they actually did that very well. So to sit there and say that everything that they put their hands on is screwed up, that's patently false.
Yeah, it is.
But either way, this is a situation where whoever was on the board before And you and I know one of those people specifically. I specifically do. I know that. He's pretty well known in this part of the state, the east central part of the state of Alabama. And I don't really blame him as the chairman, because it's very difficult to be able to know everything that's going on in your place of business 100% of the time. If you are a company of a certain size, you can't watch everybody all the time. It's darn near impossible.
Right. I agree.
But at the same time, they've switched out everybody, so we'll see what happens. And we got this audit going on, and I get the feeling right now we're at the beginning of this. And this is going to be a fairly long process. But what Jimmy Creel said, he's the vice chairman in this situation. Hopefully the chairman does echo this, that this is going to be viable. I personally would like to see them get back to the point where they start inducting new classes, because there's a whole lot of people, very, very worthy people out there from all levels of motorsport that really probably deserve to be in that hall.
I wholeheartedly agree. Wholeheartedly.
All right. So from that, let's talk about something a little bit nicer here, also on a racing note. The website autosport.com, we don't talk about them a whole lot, but they have decided to come out with a fan vote, and they've unveiled their nominations for 2025. Fans can vote on the winner in categories like Driver of the Year, Rookie of the Year, and Event of the Year. 6 nominees in all for Driver of the Year. Among them, Lando Norris, Oscar Piastri, and Max Verstappen of Formula One. IndyCar's Alex Palou, Oliver Rowland from Formula E. No NASCAR driver inside that Driver of the Year. Does that surprise you a little bit? I mean, I'll state this up front. It doesn't surprise me terribly. And having read autosport.com and going through there, NASCAR is not really a big concern of theirs. They are very much into open wheel, specifically European-based, read Formula E and Formula One racing.
Yeah, like you just said, considering they're European-based, I'm not surprised at all.
No. But
at all.
NASCAR does have some representation in the Rookie of the Year nominees. There are 7 candidates there. They include 4 Formula One drivers. Not surprising there. Kimi Antonelli, Ollie Behrman, Gabriel Bortoleto, Isaac Hajar. The 2 from NASCAR are probably not all that terribly surprising. Shane Van Gisbergen and Connor Zilisch. And they also have Taylor Barnard from Formula E. All of them did very well in their years. Probably, if there is a, quote, worst, unquote, it might be Shane Van Gisbergen, and he scored 5 wins in his rookie year. Yes, they were all on road courses, but still, that's a pretty stout resume for a Rookie of the Year who you might consider to be the weakest of them.
That's actually crazy to say that he would be the weakest one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Then there's Team of the Year. Up for Team of the Year are teams like IndyCar's Chip Ganassi Racing. From NASCAR, shock of shocks, not really, Hendrick Motorsports. From Formula One, it's McLaren, and from Formula E is Porsche. There are others, obviously, in there as well. If you want to take part in the voting, you can do that. It's by going to autosport.com/awards-voting, or just go to autosport.com and follow all the clicks. All right, we're going to start off with Formula One. There's a whole lot of things here that technically could be considered lead, but I chose this one, number 1, because this race is tonight. Their season is still active. And number 2, this is the second time in 3 years that we've come across this particular problem, if you will. When we got into the current Las Vegas street course, and I state that because, yes, they raced at Las Vegas one other time, but they raced basically in the parking lot of the Caesars Resort and Casino out there. So it was a parking lot race. Now it is a full legitimate street course race. But when it appeared a couple of years ago, there were problems that got uncovered very quickly, notably loose drain covers. Jeez. Caused major problems in practice that first year, and it turns out that apparently it's reared its ugly head again in practice session number 2 that was held late Thursday evening. Luckily, no damage from that particular situation to the cars was reported, but the second practice got stopped when a trackside race marshal noted that a maintenance cover appeared to be loose, so they red flagged it, did a full inspection, and after the FIA issued a statement saying that they were, quote, confident everything is in a suitable condition to resume the session, unquote, they did. Well, that was only the first red flag shown during that practice session because of concerns about that specific cover. And as time was winding down in the session, they showed another red flag after more concerns were raised, and it was so close to the time, it just ended the session. The FIA released another statement, said, quote, some race control personnel remained on site when the session was restarted. They reported that a manhole cover was moving as cars passed over it, which led to the session being ended under red flag conditions. Further inspections are underway. Workers did go down to secure it. The F1 Academy was able to get on the track. They had a qualifying session that was slated for 30 minutes after the second practice session for Formula One got done. They were supposed to get into qualifying 30 minutes later. They actually did get that qualifying session in and had an only 2-minute delay to the start. With everything that happens and with as much aero as these F1 cars have, you're going to suck up anything. I mean, manhole cover is not a light thing. If you've ever tried to pick one up, you know this. Matt, but
Yeah.
they create so much turbulence, air disturbance, whatever you want to call it. I hesitate to say suction, but it might not be the worst word in the world. I mean, as much downforce as they have, that air something has to happen to it, and it kind of makes a manhole cover, as heavy as it is, move around. One would have thought they would have figured this out and spot welded this long ago, well before we had to worry about this, knowing what already happened 2 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, one would think so, that somebody missed something somewhere because, proven from 2023, they should know that with all the downforce that the cars have and the turbulence that they pull up, they can basically like a reverse vacuum.
Right.
The way it pulls everything up, they should know that, and it should have been throughout the entire course. Should have been properly taken care of.
Yeah. Well, and this is the problem with street courses. Las Vegas is far from the only one that's had a problem like this. We've heard about this in Baku, Azerbaijan. Qatar's had some problems, places like that. So it's going to be very interesting. Speaking of Qatar, we're going to be talking about that here in just a moment. But we got to take our first official break here in the show. When we come back, we'll continue talking F1 here. Teams are already working really hard to get those cars prepared and ready to go. Last week showed you, for example, the Audi car. Why are they speeding so quickly? Well, turns out the calendar is going to be advanced a little bit next year. We'll give you all the details when we come back on this edition of CRN.
We will be right back with more on the Championship Racing Network. 2 tires only, and back out to the track for more action on the Championship Racing Network.
Welcome back in. Thank you very much for joining us here on this Saturday before Thanksgiving. A lot of people traveling this week. Man, did I find that out last night. My wife and I were headed out and happened to take a bridge that crossed over 65 southbound as you're going into Alabaster. Oof. The number of people that were leaving town. Unreal. Not happy. So our thoughts and our prayers if you're traveling today or anytime this week, because, wow, a lot of people going to be out on the road. So be careful out there. Formula One teams working very hard to get their 2026 cars ready. And why does it seem like it's being rushed a little bit more? Well, if you consider that, for example, including tonight's race, there are still 3 races left in the 2025 schedule. It's really because everything's going to kind of get ramped up and happen quicker in 2026. I say quicker because the first test of the 2026 cars is slated for the end of January in Barcelona, Spain, as opposed to late February, as we have had in previous years. Again, this has led to new car reveals happening usually on or around Valentine's Day when we had it in late February, but now with the test slated January 26th through the 30th, it's all been ramped up to get those things finalized, get them put together, maybe get in a little bit of track time as well, just to make sure everything looks and works well. And don't forget, you got a Christmas break in there. That's going to cut down on time to work as well. So that's the reason why. Good luck with all that. And then I mentioned a moment ago that Cutter's got some problems. And this hasn't made necessarily everybody happy, and this, I'm going to be curious to get the resident driver's opinion on this. You think about, for example, the Monaco Grand Prix. We had Formula One mandate this year and for 2024, you had to make 2 pit stops. Whether you wanted to or not, didn't matter what your strategy was, you had to make 2 pit stops. Well, they're going to do that again for the Qatar Grand Prix. And they did this the first time in 2023. They're bringing it back because in 2022, the curbing around that Losail course caused tire lacerations. So in 2023, they mandated specific pit strategy. You couldn't go more than 18 laps on any particular set of tires. Didn't matter what it was, soft, medium, or hard compound. They're returning to that this year. Not really sure why. They didn't explain it that well. They just said this time we're mandating the cars will only be allowed to run a maximum of 25 laps before they have to come down to get new Pirelli rubber. Now, this race is 57 laps, so it means all teams are going to be on a 2-stop strategy at least. Somebody might try and figure out a third. I don't know. It just depends on exactly what you want to do. F1 officials say they made the decision to implement the 25-lap cap with the approval of both the FIA and the team owners, but there's a team principal who doesn't care for it. It's Haas F1 team principal Ayo Komatsu. Now, he's vocal about it. I don't know about the other 9. They may not like it, but they just kept their mouths shut. Komatsu, on the other hand, talked to media Thursday in Vegas and said this, quote, "I don't agree with these artificial limits, but I guess it's just Pirelli scared from last year. One-stop race, Pirelli probably thought, surely they're not going to do this time. Oh, no, they're going. So they just put this artificial limit on it, so it's impossible to do a one-stop race. For me, I don't think it's right that we have to do that in this sport. You know, we're talking quite a lot about avoiding one-stop races, how to put things, making them a little more artificial, like you saw in Monaco, you saw in Qatar back a couple of years ago. I think it will destroy the race. The issue is not just the one-stop. The issue is that you saw Brazil and Mexico. You don't need to look any further than that to see what kind of exciting race you could have when tire performance is on the edge of 1 or 2 stops or 2 or 3 stops. You know, when the 2 strategies could work, it's when an exciting race happens. So for me, that's what Pirelli needs to aim for. So he's basically saying this needs to be left up to the teams. If we want to try and do this on one stop, we should be allowed to. And if the tire goes away, that's on us. Is that what he's saying?
That is 200% absolutely what he's saying.
And
without a shadow of a doubt.
Do you agree with him?
I 10 million % agree with him.
Okay.
It should not be dictated. It should not be dictated by a tire manufacturer of how many stops you make through a race, or dictated by the series of how many stops you have to make. If you're going to put the tires on the car, you're going to put the car on the racetrack, and your driver's going to drive the car, that responsibility is on them.
Okay, and I agree with that. Let's go back to what seemed to have caused the problem. And apparently it's something they have decided they're not going to try and alter or fix in any way. All this goes back to, like I said, the 2022 race when the curbing over there caused minor lacerations in the tire, which made it wear quicker. Well, you're the guys that are installing these curbs, and you're overseeing the course. Tell them, smooth them out.
Yeah, I mean, fix the course. Don't fix the course. Don't try to fix how a team strategizes their race.
I like that way.
Because it's in a way you could describe it. When you're bolting those tires on the car, it's like that little fine print that fans and spectators have on that ticket at the bottom. It's called inherent risk. You're taking that inherent risk of whatever that tire is going to give you, whether it's 5 laps, 15, or 35 laps.
Right.
You're taking that inherent risk of what it gives you. It shouldn't be dictated or regulated by the tire manufacturer or the series just because they got a little bit of leeriness on how long it may last.
Well, and if you think about it, this is what caused them to have problems here in the United States almost 20 years ago now. That final race at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway on the road course there, which they were, I don't know, they had to pit, every 7 laps or something like that because the tires and the track just did not match up well and they were just really coming apart. And it caused Formula One to leave the United States until they built COTA down in Austin, Texas. So it was a 5-6 year break, whatever it was. Should this, maybe is a better question, should this make Formula One look at Qatar and go, hey, if you don't fix this, we're going to take this race elsewhere because we got all these other areas and states and countries that all want races and we could go there and not have to worry about it?
One would think. But,
Yeah, fix it or get it.
Things are in the world. Some things are in the world. You can never tell.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. Time will tell. Well, here's something. If you are a racing fan of any kind of note, you know this. Racing gets in the blood. Heck, just ask Matt. He could tell you. Or, if you want to be more specific, it gets into the blood of the family. You could ask the Waltrip brothers or the Labonte brothers. They could tell you, too. How about father to son? Well, we all know about the 4 generations of the Pettys. Unfortunately, Adam lost his life way too early. We could talk about the Earnhardts. We could talk about the Unsers. We could talk about the Rahals. The list goes on. Formula One's no stranger to it either. Mick Schumacher trying to follow Michael Schumacher in the single-seater open-wheel racing line. Max Verstappen has actually outshone his F1 champion father, Jos Verstappen, by claiming 4 of his own. Next up could be a Hakkinen. Mika Hakkinen is a 2-time F1 champion. He claimed the titles in 1998 and 1999, and he's long talked about his oldest child is continuing on in that vein. But unlike all those other names that I've mentioned before, Mika Hakkinen is championing his daughter, Ella. Ella is a grand total of 14 years old, and to this point, she's only been in karting, but her experience and her record there, plus her name, didn't hurt and caught the attention of McLaren, and that's why, if you're watching on CRN Live on YouTube, she's wearing McLaren colors. They have signed her to a driver development program. She'll be working alongside the All-Ella team. Ella Hakkinen will work with Ella Lloyd and Ella Stevens, who will be the regular drivers of the F1 Academy organization, and they will be working with her. I haven't heard, but I would presume, even though it is Formula 4, that there's probably an age limit, isn't there? I mean, you got to be at least a certain age to drive some of these really, really powerful cars. I mean, I get it. F1 Academy is on the equivalent level of Formula 4. But we're still not talking about a weakling, 100 horsepower car. This is a pretty hefty car, and we're talking about a 14-year-old getting behind the wheel of it. Really?
Yeah. It's the minimum age for Formula 4 is 15 years old.
Okay, so she's right on the edge.
She's right there on the edge of it. So, but some of the some series may allow 14-year-olds to participate if they have prior racing experience or complete specific licensing requirements. So McLaren could very well have her on that same path of getting those requirements completed to where she can compete in those series.
Okay. Well, and here's the thing. You get that early of a start, and you get real comfortable, and it appears that she has learned under her father's tutelage very well. I mean, to the point where McLaren said, yeah, we'll sign you, because I doubt seriously it was based on the name alone. I could have the most famous name on the planet when it comes to racing, but if I can't prove it on the track, nobody's going to touch me.
No, not at all.
So she must have some talent there, so we wish her the best of luck. 14 years old. Go get it, kid. Knock yourself out, man. More details on the sale of the portion of his ownership stake in the Mercedes-AMG Petronas team by team boss Toto Wolff. The sale will, as we had said before, be 5% of the overall stake of the team. Now, Toto Wolff owns a one-third stake in the team. Before the sale, it turns out that stake is indeed being bought, as the rumors had stated, by CrowdStrike CEO George Kurtz. And it's actually about 15% of Wolff's stake overall. Now, the previous figures that valued it at 4.5 billion euros really meant the entire Mercedes team organization. But that does make sense when you consider that their history and what they've been able to do over the last decade, 15 years or so. So Wolff's 15% stake that he's selling actually translates to about 230 million euros or about 300 million US dollars. Still not going to be crying for Toto Wolff by any stretch of the imagination. Kurtz is a 55-year-old founder and the CEO of CrowdStrike. It's a cybersecurity company based here in the United States, currently a major sponsor of the Mercedes team. And in addition, as part owner, Kurtz gets to join the team's board of directors. He will be part of the strategic steering committee, planning committee, whatever you want. Not a bad deal if you're Toto Wolff, number one. Number two, for George Kurtz, if you are already that invested as the company's owner into the race team, why not go ahead and be a part owner of the team? I get it. It is strange to think now that 5% of the organization, a very typical German company, is now 5% owned by an American. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't that long ago. I mean, you think about it. Haas F1 is celebrating 10 years in Formula One. We're getting Cadillac next year. But before that, we didn't really have much of a stake in Formula One. Formula One was that race series that ran over there. Now, all of a sudden, they have 3 races in the United States. We have Cadillac coming in, Haas F1, both fully owned by American people or organizations. Oh, by the way, there's Williams, which is owned by the Doralton Capital Company. They're an American-based organization. Now we're up to 3, and Mercedes, the very, very heritage German car brand, has a race team that is now 5% owned by an American.
Say that 10 times fast.
I'm not even sure I said it right the first time, much less try to say that 10 times fast.
Yeah.
I think I got it right.
Yeah.
Didn't I?
10 times fast.
Okay. I think I got it right. All right, lawsuits. Ugh. The one in Formula One is the one that we're really concentrating on because we're still worried about the countdown to December 1st and whether or not NASCAR and one side and 2311 and Front Row Motorsports can get their stuff figured out. But right now, the situation where you got Felipe Massa going up against Formula One because of the 2008 title chase. To find out whether or not there's any there, a British High Court judge has ruled that Felipe Massa's claim against Formula One, the FIA, and former F1 CEO Bernie Ecclestone over that 2008 title chase, he's ruled it can go to trial. Lewis Hamilton won the 2008 title by 1 point. Massa said he was robbed of the title. We've detailed it in the past. I'm not going to detail it right now, but just real quick, it relates to a deliberate crash by one driver at that year's Singapore Grand Prix. Caught Massa outside the top 10. He did not score points in that race, and he finished 1 point behind Hamilton. Well, Ecclestone, who was deposed, I should say, legally about the events in 2008, That happened back in 2023. He suggested that he and some other F1 executives were aware of some form of cover-up before that fated season had ended. But Ecclestone, the FIA, and Formula One officials are now defending themselves, saying that there was nothing untoward and they asked just last month for the court to toss the case, but they didn't. The judge in the case, his name is Justice J, noted in his ruling that Massa likely, quote, had no real prospect of establishing that the FIA's duties were owed to him, but added that he does have a real prospect of proving at trial all the components of his unlawful means conspiracy. The same analysis applies to the inducement claim, but not everything that Massa wanted to include in the suit is going to go ahead, as Justice J also noted that he had, quote, reached a firm conclusion that it is clear that declaratory relief would not be granted in the case, and added, quote, in my judgment, Mr. Massa is not entitled to claim declaratory relief for reputational or publicity reasons. The present claim cannot, of course, rewrite the outcome of the 2008 Drivers' World Championship, but if relief along the lines are sought and were granted, that's how Mr. Massa would present his victory to the world and how it would be perceived by the public. The second declaration is in the terms that it were not for the FIA's breaches of duty, he would have won the championship. In other words, that he should have won it. The FIA, as an international sporting body outside the reach of this court, could and would simply ignore any such declaration. It underscores its lack of practical utility, but the declaration comes too close, in my view, to impinging on the rights of the FIA to govern its own affairs. Strangely enough, all of that goes to say, yeah, he's going to let it go to trial, but it seems like there's a massive uphill battle for Felipe Massa to be able to do anything more than get kind of a hollow victory, being able to say, yeah, they admitted I should have won the title. You're not going to get a trophy. You're not going to get a check for it. I'm not really certain that you're going to get any monies for any perceived damages to your name and or reputation, because nobody thinks that Felipe Massa is any less of a guy because he doesn't have 2008 Formula One champion written next to his name.
Yeah, it does. It does seem like an uphill battle. I agree with that one.
I wish I could say I knew exactly what it was he's going for here, because I think the judge is correct in this case. Formula One's not going to go back retroactively and go, well, you know what? Let's get all the 2008 cars and drivers out there, and let's rerun the end of the Singapore Grand Prix, and let's rerun the rest of the year, and let's see what happens. They're not going to do that.
No, they're not.
And they're certainly not just going to strip the title away from Lewis Hamilton and give it to Felipe Massa. It's not going to happen. I don't care what you think of Lewis Hamilton or Felipe Massa or Bernie Ecclestone or anybody else involved in this. None of that's going to happen.
Nope. Not at all.
So, Felipe, good luck. You're spending a lot of money on a court case that I think is only going to give you, at most, a very, very empty victory. But there it is. We got to take this break. When we come back, if you're into gaming, there's a couple of things that are probably pretty important to you, especially if you're a Formula One fan. Got a new game coming out in one case, and in another case, a game's not coming out, but it's going to get an update. Stick around. We'll let you know about that. And we'll start talking some NASCAR, Indycar, and NHRA news, because there's a lot of big news coming up this week. We got to get to it all.
We will be right back with more on the Championship Racing Network. go. We're back to the Championship Racing Network.
Well, just in time for Christmas, this bit of news comes out. If you happen to like Formula One and you like the card game Uno, we've got something for you. Formula One and Uno's parent company, toy maker Mattel, have come to terms on a deal that pairs them. It's called Uno Elite Formula One. The game is going to offer a starter edition and then a booster set featuring all 10 2025 teams. Sorry, no Cadillac here, but there's hope. And I say there's hope because the first release will include over 100 F1-inspired Elite Action cards, all of them in varying colors and more. Over 1,000 unique cards are going to be available to collect in all. The cards are available for pre-order now on Amazon.com with the promise of delivery by mid-December, again, just in time for Christmas. Major retailers will begin selling all these card packs in early 2026. Future packs will likely include Cadillac and the switch from Sauber over to Audi, among other changes that will come in the future. Starter pack, it's a typical Uno game, 112 cards plus 2 exclusive promo cards, 4 game booster packs, each containing 10 Action Elite cards that feature all 10 teams' drivers, cars, some selected team principals, some noted reserve drivers. You also have some racetracks in there and even helmets that can be included in the initial deck, or you can replace cards of similar value depending on exactly how many people are playing. Booster set includes 3 more game booster packs, each containing 10 Elite Action cards to help you find your favorite drivers even quicker. This all follows up on Mattel's first collaboration with F1 for the set of Hot Wheels racers, the 2025 featuring all 10 teams, whereas the 2024 Hot Wheels pack only featured 8 of the 10 teams. Ferrari and McLaren were initially unwilling to participate. This just, for Formula One, under Bernie Ecclestone, they were hermits for all intents and purposes. Now with Liberty Media owning them, they really seem to be opening up and trying to get the brand out there on just about every level that they can possibly think of. Is that a bad thing?
Yeah,
is it oversaturation, or is this a good thing for Formula One as they're still trying to battle, the monster in the United States, regardless of what you may think about it? NASCAR is still the king of motorsports here in the United States. Is this a good thing for them to slap it on everything that they can possibly do?
It can't hurt
Okay.
because it's improving their marketing for sure,
Yeah.
and it's getting their branding out on multiple level things that maybe that NASCAR is not getting them on.
Oh, that's true, too. Yeah, I don't think NASCAR ever would have thought about pairing up with Uno, despite the fact that Uno actually was a sponsor of a NASCAR car back, in the 1980s?
Late 80s,
Yeah. Speaking of games, there's the video game, EA Sports, the official game maker for Formula One. They've announced at this time they have no plans to introduce a brand new 2026 game. But they will instead have an update for F1 2025 that will include all those 2026 cars, the teams, the regulations. That will, the company says, allow them to begin work on the 2027 game, hoping for an all-new version at that point in time. Lee Mather, the senior creative codemaster for EA Sports, said this, quote, F1 25 has been an incredible success, fueled by the passion of the fans, the energy of the sport, Formula One's momentum on and off the track, and now's the perfect time for us to look ahead and build to the future. He added, quote, we're fully committed to the EA Sports F1 franchise. Our multi-year plan extends this year's excitement with the 2026 expansion, reimagines the F1 experience for 2027 to deliver even more for players at every level around the world. Said while the update will include the new cars, teams, and regulations, the 2026 features also the new power units as well. But what the delay is going to give is the EA coders a chance to see what the engine regulations for 2026 does on the track, and then begin to implement all of those changes into the game when they release F1 2027. So they actually want to try and make sure this is as realistic as possible. So the expansion gives you all that, but they don't know what the driving experience is going to be any more, truth be told, than the drivers do at this point in time. So they're going to wait and see what it does to the track so that they can try and incorporate that into the game. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, that's what I see and gather too.
Okay.
What it seems like.
Truth be told, I say good on them. If you're not comfortable with it and not thinking that you're going to be able to get it right without having a full season of knowing exactly what the new regulations are going to bring in, go ahead, wait a year, have this expansion, which if you got your Xbox or PlayStation 5 or whatever it is hooked up to the internet, you should be able to just do the download via the internet. Shouldn't be that big of a deal. I don't know whether you're going to have to pay for it. Probably. I don't know how much if you do, but that seems to be the way to go. At least that way you get the Cadillac team in there if that's something that you want to play with, and try and go with it that way. And if you don't, well, heck, you still got an F1 2025 game that's viable for another year or so until they put out F1 2027. Not a bad deal.
Yep.
And if you liked F1 the movie from earlier this year and you were hoping for more, well, you might just be in luck. Director Joseph Kosinski confirmed that talks with Apple Films are underway about a sequel and what exactly that plot might be. Movie hit theaters around the world back in June, made over $630 million total worldwide box office, led to the rumors that a sequel is going to be in the works very soon. Kosinski talked to the Hollywood newspaper Variety earlier this week, said, quote, "We're in that stage of just kind of dreaming up what the next chapter for Sonny Hayes would be and for the Apex GP team. But, based upon the reaction around the world from this movie, it's something that people want to see. I'd be happy to go back and do it because we had a lot of fun making this one." In addition, Apple CEO Tim Cook, who said he might be set to retire next year from that role, did talk about several things, noted he's personally held meetings with seven-time F1 champion Lewis Hamilton, who served as an executive producer on F1 the movie, about returning for that same role for the sequel. I mean, if they do it, I'll be interested to see it. Here's the thing, and I don't think that they're rushing to do this, and I think that's probably the best part of it. Because if you rush to do a sequel, you tend to have a severe drop-off in the quality of it. So take the time, do it right, and if it takes you a couple of years, that's fine, because we keep hearing about all of these other sequels that are potentially in the works. I mean, let's go back to Top Gun Maverick. It took them from 1986 to 2021 to come up with a sequel. They're just now talking about coming out with a sequel to Days of Thunder. And, that was... 1990, 91, somewhere in that area when that movie came out?
Yeah, 90.
You want to make sure that the story's right, that the quality is good, at least as good as the original, if not better. So I don't have a problem with them.
Yeah.
Go ahead and get into the planning stages of it now because, let's face it, Brad Pitt's not getting any younger. But get into the planning stages of it now. Yeah. That way you can start working up a script and start figuring out the pluses and the minuses to this, and let's go to it. Let's go have some fun. Might be worth it.
Yeah, go for it.
And, this is that Apple, well, it used to be Apple Plus. Now I think it's just Apple TV. This is them being fully vested in Formula One. This right here, with the success of that movie, launched them into going and getting the exclusive rights in the United States to F1 broadcasts. I just found out that they're doing a Black Friday deal early where you can sign up and get Apple TV for, is it $6.99, I think, for the first 6 months before it goes up to the regular price of $14.99, something like that. So, it's up to you. I'm not telling you got to, but if you are like I am, we have cut the cable, cut the satellite. We're all streaming in this house. It's the only way I'm going to be able to watch F1. Unless I go to a sports bar and hope that they have it on. And let's face it, how many sports bars are open at 6 o'clock in the morning? Not many. So if you're interested in Apple TV, take a look at it. Again, I'm not forcing you to do it. I wouldn't dream of doing that.
Not me. There wouldn't be many bars open at all.
Any bar that's open at 6 o'clock in the morning, I might not want to go to. Just saying. Might be a little sketchy.
Nope.
All right, let's turn our attention over here to the Cup Series. And with all the moves the Trackhouse Racing has made for the 2026 season, they were asked recently about whether or not the Project 91 ride was going to be a thing in 2026, or were they going to put a pause on it and wait until later, 2027 or later. Well, team owner Justin Marks said that the car is alive and well and will be on track next season. And there's a reason why the paint job that you're about to see on CRN Live on YouTube was chosen, is because he says he wants to expand out that partnership with Red Bull. Now remember, 2 of his drivers actually do have Red Bull partnerships. They're Red Bull drivers. Shane Van Gisbergen and Connor Zilic are both Red Bull drivers. Red Bull seems to like what Trackhouse is doing in addition to it, because remember, this is the car that Van Gisbergen got into and won the Chicago street course race in, which prompted his now NASCAR career. The original idea behind the Project 91 entry was to get drivers from all different kinds of motorsports factions around the world to be able to get a taste of what NASCAR felt like. So it just makes perfect sense that they would work with Red Bull on this. Marks told Adam Stern of the Sports Business Journal, quote, "No, Project 91's never dead. Where Project 91 is now is we're going to promote the program in the sponsorship market, sign a sponsor, I guess, in addition to Red Bull. And then we try to work with the sponsor on what kind of athlete they want to see. But I would bet on it coming back in 26, and we're pretty close to getting that deal done. There's some good opportunities." If you're a driver who's any kind of interested in NASCAR, Project 91 ought to be on your radar, and maybe you should be trying to figure out a way to get in contact with Justin Marks. Wouldn't you think, Matt?
Yeah, plus, if they're looking at expanding out more, even further with Red Bull and doing more stuff with Red Bull, you've got to firmly and squarely think that there would be a Red Bull driver somewhere, a very high-level Red Bull driver somewhere that would be attempting to get off in this car at a road course race.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know what the schedules are and how they exactly work up. We haven't gone through that. It might be something I'll do over the next couple of weeks just to kind of see what matches up. For example, when Formula One comes to the United States and they've got a weekend off in between, is there a road course race that might actually be involved? I'll have to look that up. We'll take a look at that.
I'm examining that now.
Ah, okay. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's give you this top of the hour break, let you take a look at that. And when we come back, we got some sponsorship news here. We got a little bit more about the Junior Motorsports number 40 entry, which will once again attempt to qualify for the Daytona 500. We'll talk about Front Row Motorsports has got 2 new sponsors, or 2 re-signed sponsors is more specific, but there is a new sponsor coming to Joe Gibbs Racing. The rich get richer, right? Hour number 2 on deck.
Don't touch that dial. The Championship Racing Network will be right back. 4 tires and 2 cans of fuel, and we're back to more racing action on the Championship Racing Network.
Welcome back in as we kick off hour number 2, talking about the Cup Series here and talking about some sponsorships that we're going to see as we approach 2026. I know, we're already talking about that. Another one of those one-off rides. We just talked about it here on the show last week. The Junior Motorsports number 40 Chevrolet. They're once again attempting to qualify for the Daytona 500. They did it in 2025 with Justin Allgaier behind the wheel. They're going to do it with Justin Allgaier behind the wheel again for the 2025 one. It was done with the help of country music singer Chris Stapleton's Traveler Whiskey brand. Turns out, going to be the case again. They officially announced it earlier this week, Monday specifically. The number works. The number 40 is also the number of the blend that finally made it into the bottles that make up Traveler Whiskey, which is bottled by the Buffalo Trace Distillery Company. Junior Motorsports CEO Kelly Earnhardt Miller said this, quote, "Getting the opportunity to enter a second Daytona 500 is something that is extremely special to everyone at Junior Motorsports. Last year was an amazing moment. I'm very proud of being able to see this group come back together with the support of Chris Stapleton and Traveler Whiskey to go at it again in February." Do we have any doubt at all that that car is going to make it into the Daytona 500 if all things are equal?
I'm going to say zero doubt.
All right. Yeah, I tend to agree with you. I mean, as closely aligned as they have been with Hendrick Motorsports over the course of that time, and the fact that it is Junior Motorsports, Chevrolet is not going to deny them anything. They, if anything, would love to see Junior Motorsports maybe actually go after a charter or two and try and get into Cup Series racing full time, don't you think?
Yeah, they could pull it off if they wanted to. They just wouldn't do it where it's less financially straining.
Yeah, that's true too. Okay, do you have any chance to kind of compare those schedules and see what, if anything, might become attractive to a Red Bull racer, say from, I don't know, F1?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
When you look at how the schedule aligns, 3 of the 5 road course races next year do not interact with an F1 weekend. F1 is off in those respective weekends. And the respective weekends that they're off is COTA.
Why am I not surprised by that one?
Well, COTA races March the 1st next year, and F1 opens up March the 8th.
Yeah, that's...
Okay.
You could still make it from Texas to Australia in plenty of time.
Oh, yeah. The race on May the 10th at Watkins Glen is a off weekend for Formula One, as well as the race in San Diego on June 21st is an off weekend for Formula One as well.
Okay.
So if I'm Red Bull, I am using one of those weekends as a monstrous cross promotion kind of setup scenario.
Sure, why not?
Red Bull's got the ability to do it. If Red Bull wanted to foot the bill to put that car on the track for all of those weekends, I would take somebody, and I don't care. I'll argue with a wall if you want to argue with me. I would run somebody like Liam Lawson in that car at COTA.
Okay.
I would turn right around and possibly put somebody like, I don't know. It's hard to say with either Isaac Hadjar or Yuki Tsunoda at Watkins Glen.
Yeah.
And then with it being the inaugural race at San Diego, you would bring 100 times more eyes to that race. You put Max Verstappen in that car at San Diego.
If they could convince him to do it, yeah.
I don't think you could probably convince him to do it and try it on a one-off race. And then and then with him and Shane Van Gisbergen being friends like they are and they communicate and talk like they do, I'm sure with Shane, it's helping convince him. You got him, Gisbergen, and Connor Zillich on the track at the same time. That's a dream for Red Bull.
Oh, wouldn't it be? Good night almighty. Would that be or not? Wow. We'll see. Time will tell as to exactly what all comes out of that. As far as other sponsorships are being talked about, Aaron's rent-to-own used to be all over the place in NASCAR, but they backed off in recent years. Appears like they're starting to make a comeback of sorts. Front Row Motorsports and Aaron's have been partners for a couple of years now, and in a new multi-year extension of the deal, the company will be on the hood of the number 38 for Zane Smith for a number of races in 2026 and beyond. Company's based out of Atlanta, so it's a little surprised that they're going to be the primary sponsor for both races at Atlanta's Echo Park Speedway, amongst the others. In all, Aaron's will be a primary sponsor for 11 of the 36 points races this coming year, which led Zane Smith to say, quote, "The team and I are excited to have Aaron's back with us and in a bigger capacity, too. We've had some solid runs with them in the car in 2025, and I know that there's going to be more to come in 2026. Hopefully we can get Lucky Dog into victory lane." It's funny because Aaron's no longer sponsors that. It's technically not called the Lucky Dog anymore. Technically, we just call it the Free Pass. But how many times have you heard an announcer, and I'm guilty of it as well, I'll be the first person to tell you, that says, "Oh, so-and-so got the lucky dog, they're back on the lead lap." That became part of NASCAR vernacular. It's pretty funny.
Yep.
Now Aaron's is back officially, not as the sponsor of the Free Pass, by the way. Another partner that Front Row Motorsports has extended their deal with is Miller Tech. They've signed on to remain on the number 4 of Noah Gragson for the 2027 through the 2027 season at least. They're going to be a primary sponsor of an unspecified number of races each of those 2 coming years. Right now, I can only find 2 for 2026. The first one at Pocono. The other one I think is going to be New Hampshire later in the year. But again, that number may change. To me personally, that's a good-looking car. If you're looking at CRN Live on YouTube, I wouldn't mind seeing that car on the track a heck of a lot more. Kind of like it. Meanwhile, excuse me, over at Joe Gibbs Racing, the 19 of Chase Briscoe gets a new partner in Columbia Bank, which will also now become the official banking partner of Joe Gibbs Racing and be their official banking organization. Columbia Bank's going to be the primary sponsor of the 19 and 3 races in 2026. It's going to be at COTA, at Sonoma, and in the fall Phoenix race, they'll be an associate sponsor for the remainder of the season. Then this brings us to something that you and I, Matt, have been, I'm just going to go ahead and place it out there bluntly, highly critical of. And that's one of the aspects of this Gen 7 car. There are a whole lot of aspects that we could be critical of, but this one I think is one of the bigger ones. NASCAR says that now that the Gen 7 car has been established, we're 4 years in, they may be willing to look at things like the controversial single supplier situation. Current generation, like I said, now 4 years old, NASCAR's gotten what they want out of it, they say, with more parity, save for maybe in the championship race. Think about it, 3 Penske, 1 Hendrick win. But drivers and team owners do have complaints. They're not the only ones. One of the bigger ones has to do with the lack of ability to pass, and it's worse on single groove tracks because the bodies of the cars are apparently too similar. So what is the solution? Well, since we're keeping this car for a few more years, NASCAR President Steve O'Donnell got to talking about it on a recent edition of the Dale Jr. Download. O'Donnell said, quote, "We're always open to changes. The one piece I really look at is, I think one group does, we have this car and some things contained from a cost standpoint, but what does everybody really like? The ability to tweak on the car, find an advantage to do something cool. What's the next iteration of that? Well, now that we have the parts and the pieces long term, maybe we look at race teams and how they get to make some parts again. Maybe some things can open up. We give it a cost cap where we can open it up, but we've at least stopped the wasteful spending, and now we want to get back to where an engineer can come in, tweak on a car, or an OEM can say, quote, this is our intellectual property, our IP. We want to try something from a new technology standpoint, so we're open to tweaking it. We had the mindset of needing to stop the bleeding, so now that we can do what we need to do to try to keep making the racing better." Number one, it's about time you open this up to allow the teams to be able to build their own parts to a certain extent. I mean, you've got the inspectors to be able to police this. You can certainly do that. Heck, the teams are already doing it. They dinged Haas F1 for having their own instead of a single source supplier. What was it, a NACA duct that was on the underside of the car? which they accidentally left on instead of putting the single source supplier approved part on there. So they got penalized for it. So it's not like the teams aren't going out and doing something as a placeholder and trying stuff. Why in the world haven't we allowed this before? They say because they wanted to control costs. Are we really controlling costs that well? I mean, we look at the budgets of these teams, it doesn't seem like it's changed that much.
I'm going to throw in the form of a official, I'm because college officiating is so terrible. I'm going to say from the form of an NFL official, I'm going to let's just say I'm Ed Hockley here. I'm throwing a personal foul, unsportsmanlike conduct with targeting and an automatic ejection on this one right here.
Okay.
Because I'm going to tell you why. Because this team Hezeberg that ran a couple of years ago with Jacques Villeneuve.
Right.
They have put up their car for sale. That's their car for sale for $295,000 race ready.
Yeah, seems like we controlled those costs.
$295,000. A couple of years ago, with the old Gen 6 chassis, you could have two cars for $295,000. They are ridiculous.
Here's the problem. Well, one of the problems. If you are in a situation where you have no competition, you can set the price you want. If we're the only one doing this show, doing this form of show, we could literally charge whatever we wanted to for anybody to air it because we're the only game in town. If you're one supplier, if you're the one supplier, you can charge NASCAR and the teams whatever the heck you want for whatever it is that you're selling. I don't think you're cutting the prices any at all. And by allowing the teams to be able to begin to produce these parts, and again, take the officials, watch them, make sure that these things meet your stringent guidelines or whatever you feel like you have to do to make yourself happy. But let these teams do this. They might be able to do it cheaper than the Acme NACA duct company that you're currently contracted with. And then at that point in time, Acme has to go, you know what, maybe we need to lower our prices and see if we can't keep them buying this stuff instead of building it on their own.
True.
You want to drive the costs down, create competition. When you have no competition, the only one that's left standing gets to set the price. That's your problem, NASCAR. That's your problem. All right. Let's switch over to the Xfinity Series. We did talk about this, or I did, talked about it at length on this week's Cross Flags podcast. It's available to you right now on CRN Live on YouTube, but I'm going to mention it here. That way you know what it is we're talking about. First, we want to note the Xfinity Series is in its final year for now to have Fords appear. As the title sponsorship switches over to the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series, all the Fords are going away, at least for now. Maybe they make a comeback. Okay, let's detail how now, because I didn't detail it on the show, on the podcast. We noted before the 2025 season ended that the Haas factory team announced that they were going to switch from Ford back over to Chevrolet. This is something that Gene Haas, when he initially started Haas CNC Racing, they were a Chevrolet organization. He's going to partner with Hendrick Motorsports on the Cup side. As for the soon-to-be O'Reilly Auto Parts Series, it was announced also that while prepping rides for 2026 for themselves, they're going to be prepping cars for Jeremy Clements Racing in the number 51 for Clements. This is a technical alliance that was announced just Monday of this week. Not a terrifically big surprise because, again, Haas has a big enough capacity within that shop to be able to do this. They were doing it already with Ford teams. So why wouldn't they do it with Chevrolet? For Jeremy Clements, this takes a load off of their shoulders. They get somebody else to prep it. And you think about what they've been able to do with those cars in the Xfinity Series. Granted, yes, it was under the blue oval, but Haas knows how to prep cars, especially for the Xfinity Series races, because they continue to do very well. There's a reason why they only have one Cup car, but 2 cars in that secondary series. They're doing well there.
They are. They're doing exceptionally well. And with, how the alliance they've had with last year with other teams, it's not a surprise that those other teams are jumping ship and move to them as well.
Yeah.
So that way they keep that tight alliance together.
Well, since you mentioned it, Clements was already a Chevrolet team. They're just going and realigning themselves and doing it with Haas Factory. The other one is RSS Racing. They were the other Ford organization within the Xfinity Series as of last year. RSS Racing decided a little bit more quietly that they were going to switch over, as basically as soon as the Haas Factory team announced that they were going to move over to Chevrolet, RSS did as well. This means no Fords in the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series for 2026 unless somebody makes a move soon. And you say, well, wait a minute, AM Racing was part of that. Well, AM Racing is effectively no more. They have paused all operations while they try and figure out their future, unless I'm wrong.
Well, they had, yes. But apparently now that there are no Ford teams left, as of right now, they are apparently going to revisit, because they shared via their social media that on the 24th, there's got some form of an announcement coming. So what they're doing, I don't know. So I'm really not sure, but it's confusing, because it's surprising to me. It's confusing, but yet surprising to me that Ford is not making any larger of a push to have more cars in their secondary series.
Yeah, really. I mean, wouldn't you want? Wouldn't you want a better pipeline?
And trucks.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah, you would hope so.
I mean, there's got to be a stepping stone here, because if you're a Ford development driver, let's just say, and you're running in the Truck Series, there's no next step up. You have to make the leap up to the Cup Series from the Truck Series, and I'm not saying it's impossible to do. Carson Hocevar's done it to whatever level of success you might want to call it, but it is not generally the way that you do it. When you think about, for example, baseball players, they go from AA to AAA to the majors. Here in this situation, AA is the Truck Series, AAA is the Xfinity, soon to be O'Reilly Auto Parts Series, Cup Series is your major leagues. There's no AAA there. And that's where you really want to kind of get them used to those cars, because you are going to, this. You go from the trucks to the cars, there is something of an adjustment period. I mean, yeah, you're a professional racer. You should be able to adjust quickly, but there's still an adjustment period. Wouldn't it be better to do that going up to the AAA level as opposed to just jumping right up into the Cup Series at the top level and trying to adjust there?
Should. It should be. But because of excuse me, power standpoint, you got to get used to the differences there. But from an aero standpoint, it's where the biggest thing comes in, because the trucks punch so much bigger of a hole in the air.
Right.
So it's just a matter of adjustment period, really.
Well, if there's a bit of good news here, Jeffrey said it right on the messaging right there on CRN Live on YouTube in the chat. He's right. If AM Racing's the only game in town that Ford's got, well, Ford can put all of their O'Reilly Auto Parts budgeting into backing AM Racing, which that could be a massive boon to them. Could be just the shot in the arm that they were needing.
Good. Yeah, and they could have the ability to get 2 cars back on the racetrack like they had a few years ago.
Question is who's the drivers? Guess we'll find all that stuff out.
True.
Yeah. So you said the 24th, so that's Monday. So maybe we get to talk about it Tuesday on the Cross Flags podcast. There you go. Also, for looking for a lift up is Viking Motorsports. They were that offshoot of RSS Racing that actually moved to Chevrolet for the 2025 season. They kind of floundered a little bit, switched drivers 2/3 of the way through the season, which you and I both said we thought it was a mistake to let Matt DiBenedetto go, but that's what they decided to do. As they prepare for 2026, they've struck an alliance now with Richard Childress Racing. In addition to getting the Earnhardt Childress Racing engines from RCR, they're going to get access to the RCR support network, operational resources, and collaborative processes. Those are all in quotes. God knows I wouldn't have said it that way, but I'm not the PR guy. They're linking up with the team that boasts the 2025 championship driver in Jesse Love. As we noted, they let Matt DiBenedetto go 2/3 of the way through the year and turn to Parker Retzlaff to fill out the year, and he will be in the car for 2026. So they team up with RCR. We've seen what RCR has done, kind of like Haas Factory Team in this series. Is this the move that Viking needs that might be able to lift them up and make them a contender? Or is this them grasping at straws?
Personally, I think it's them grasping at straws.
Okay. What do they need to do?
Because apparently, first off, they don't have any more issue with this supposed deal with Parker Retzlaff and a few years ago not pushing Kyle Busch to the win at Daytona, because now Parker Retzlaff being in the 99 car, and now they're back with technical support, worded that way.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently that's not a problem anymore. But now with everything in line like they've got it, it's one of them situations where you have no excuse.
True.
You have no excuse.
All right. So this is almost like an all or nothing situation for Viking.
Pretty much.
All right. We'll see whether or not it pays off. Running a little bit late for this break. When we come back, we'll talk Alpha Prime Racing. They've got plans for next year. And Jordan Anderson Racing is trying to set everything up for 2026, and they're trying to do it basically right now. So we'll detail that, and we'll get into some Truck Series news, NHRA, IHRA news, and Formula E all still on deck, along with Indycar, as this edition of CRN rolls on.
Stay right here for more on the Championship Racing Network.
Everyone knows that Leon's One Stop in Oxford is where you'll find the best selection and prices on tires. Everyone knows that Leon's One Stop offers the highest quality customer service you'll find anywhere. Here are some things you might not know about Leon's One Stop. They offer oil changes. They can take care of your brake work. They have a diagnostic machine and can handle most minor mechanical problems you might have. And of course, they can rotate and balance your tires as well. Leon's One Stop, 1304 Caffey Drive in Oxford, open Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. until 5 p.m. Call 256-835-1989.
We hear words getting out that Royal Furniture is the furniture destination, and we couldn't be more excited. Here at Royal, we provide the quality your family deserves, the fast delivery you need, and prices and financing you won't find anywhere else. So what are we missing? You, Alabama. Come on down to our showrooms in Oxford at 501 Davis Loop or Gadsden at 2507 West Megan Boulevard and experience the difference a 79-year family legacy makes when it comes to furnishing your home. From our family to yours. Welcome home, Alabama.
I am a non-attorney spokesperson representing a team of lawyers who help people that have been injured or wronged. If you've been involved in a serious car, truck, or motorcycle accident or injured at work, you have rights, and you may be entitled to money for your suffering. Don't accept an offer you get from an insurance company until you talk to a lawyer, and we represent some of the best personal injury lawyers you can find. Tough lawyers that will fight to win your case, and they're so good they stake their reputation on it by only getting paid if you win. So if you
2 tires only. And back out to the track for more action on the Championship Racing Network.
Back again, talking Xfinity Series here. Alpha Prime Racing, Matt, they've announced Brendan Poole's going to be back in their number 44 Chevrolet for a full slate of races. He just posted Alpha Prime's best season of their relatively young history. 5 top 10 finishes, including 2 top 5 results at Rockingham and Martinsville. Claimed 19th in the final points. That's the first time they've ever been in the top 20, Matt, in final points. What can they realistically expect as we get into 2026 and beyond? As far as being this, I mean, they're a single car operation. No disrespect, but that's an uphill battle in and of itself nowadays, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. Just the best thing you can probably do is just work to stay consistent and just and evolving up from one step at a time from there. That's really all you can do, because now with Parker Retzloff has left and he went to Viking, you know, they still got that other open seat for a full-time car.
Right.
So it's just a matter of what you do with that and how you allocate your resources.
Okay. Blaine Perkins, though, seems to be a decent fit for them. They seem to like him. Obviously, they re-signed him. So, you know, for Blaine Perkins, you know, a couple of top 5s, does that mean maybe we could, I think it would be a surprise, don't get me wrong, but could he jump up and surprise people and grab a victory at some point?
I'm not going to say no, because considering what you got out there with Atlanta, Daytona, and Talladega, I'm not going to say no.
I mean, even though the fact that those 2 top 5s came at tracks that were not that, Rockingham and Martinsville?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not going to say no. I mean, because he's a pretty good little short track racer. So,
okay.
I mean, throw Martinsville in there too.
All right. Well, I mean, we're still waiting for the playoff situation as far as the formats are concerned. So if it stands as it is right now, if he could jump up and grab a win, suddenly he's in the playoffs. And there's a couple of short tracks in the playoffs right now as far as looking ahead at that 2026 schedule. So we'll find out. As far as Jordan Anderson Racing is concerned, they like a lot of what they've got too. I'm sorry, I said Blaine Perkins was in the Alpha Prime car. It's Brendan Poole. My bad. I got Blaine Perkins on my mind because we're about to talk about him. But Jordan Anderson, first of all, likes Jeb Burton enough. They're bringing him back for the 2026 season in the number 27 Chevrolet. All of this comes on the heels of a successful 2025 year. Claimed a best finish of 2nd at Talladega amongst 8 top 10 finishes, 14th place in the final standings. Anderson basically said it was his consistency and his leadership in the shop that cinched him that Burton was a major asset for the team. Anderson added, quote, "We're thrilled to have Jeb back in the 27 car for 2026. And then he started finalizing his 2026 driver lineup very, very quickly right after that, because just a couple of days after announcing Jeb Burton was returning, Blaine Perkins is going to be back in the number 31 Chevrolet. His 2025 season featured a career-high 4 top 10s. Anderson noted how he and the team gelled and got progressively better throughout the year. So what this leaves is the 32 car without a driver or drivers announced. The 32 used to be Jordan Anderson's car, but he's, been dealing with some injuries. He's getting older. I think he kind of wants to be the man running the organization, not necessarily racing all the time and trying to split his attention. He might get in a couple of races. This may end up being that 32 car a star car, which you could do a lot worse than that.
Yeah, you could do a lot worse. I agree. But I won't be surprised where he can end up having a full-time season next year completely. I won't be surprised if Rajah Carew splits time between the 88 and 32 next year.
Sure.
We already know he's in the 88 for a handful of races. So I won't be surprised if he runs a 32 again next year, to where he's got a full-time season and is running on a weekly basis.
And I'm going to ask this because, truth be told, I don't know it, and I don't know whether you do or not, but his relationship with Chevrolet, Jordan Anderson's always been good. That's not the problem. Is his relationship with the Cup Series Chevrolet organizations good enough for him to go and be able to get, I'll just throw out a name, go get a Kyle Larson or a Kyle Busch to be able to drive his car for a race or two and kind of give him an idea of, hey, you got something good here, but if you tweak this, or this, you could be better?
Well, considering he's got an alliance with RCR, I'm not going to say no.
Okay. So it's just a matter of finding the right opportunity and seeing if Kyle, I mean, again, you're talking about relaxed rules. Cup Series drivers can now go from 5 up to 10 races a year in the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series. I would be bugging the crap. I'll go ahead and use the word. I'll be bugging the crap out of RCR and saying, hey, listen, I really want Kyle Busch. Not so much Austin Dillon. Sorry. I really want Kyle Busch in the car so I can kind of get an idea of where we stand, because I think he could tell me.
Right.
I mean, he's the all-time winningest driver in that series, for crying out loud.
True.
Time will tell. Something that we've been kind of talking about here over the last couple of weeks and trying to figure out what was going to happen to all 5 trucks that Cowlick is going to put in the field next year along with Ram. It looks like the 5th truck is going to be, for lack of any better way of putting it, a star truck. Ram Trucks announced the free agent driver program, state that the truck with the number 25 on the side is going to be available for drivers from all different kinds of motorsports, up to and including, if they can get permission, O'Reilly Auto Parts or Cup Series. That kind of seems unlikely because you're switching makes. Of the 5 trucks, 3 are spoken for. One's by Cup veteran Justin Haley. You got former truck driver and Xfinity Series driver Daniel Dye. Then you got Brendan Butterbean Queen moving up from the ARCA Menard Series, where he was the champion this year. With the announcement, this entry is going to feature a rotating roster of drivers. The 5th truck remains unannounced. That should be a full-time truck, by the way, for one driver. But back to this free agent driver program, the drivers have to be approved by NASCAR. Then Cowlick's team management process have to go through and approve it. But here's the thing. Matt Cowlick said of the plan, he's excited. It's a new idea, exactly the kind of energy that we want heading into 2026. No possible names have been announced at this time, but last week, and again, think about this. This is rumor. Pure, plain, simple, straightforward. I'm going to wait for the actual announcement, but as a reminder, somebody linked both Casey Kane and Tony Stewart to be possibly running in this truck for at least one race. Hold your horses and don't get too excited about it. I talked about the pros and cons about it. Both of them, Casey Kane and Tony Stewart, are linked to Dodge. Casey Kane ran Dodges back when he was running in the Cup Series on a regular basis. Tony Stewart's Tony Stewart Racing Team, whether it's the NHRA or World of Outlaws, they have been known to run Dodge on a number of cases with branding from different brands under the Stellantis, Dodge, Mopar kind of thing. The biggest cautionary tale for Tony Stewart probably is the way that he left NASCAR. I'm not so certain he's really all that worried about coming back, even if it's just on a one-off ride. So I'm going to wait for an actual announcement. But this right here kind of sounds like the Project 91 entry on more of a full-time basis, where they're going to try and go after pretty much anybody they can get their hands on and say, hey, you want to try NASCAR? Here's a truck.
And I don't think that's a bad idea for them to do that. I think it's pretty smart. That way you're opening up your avenues and your fields of drivers to be able to get them into a higher level series and get that coveted seat time.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I don't think it's a bad move.
Yeah, last week you had to leave a little bit early. This rumor about Casey Kane and or Tony Stewart. What's your thoughts?
I could see some validity to it, considering how their ties with Dodge are, especially with Tony being his ties with Dodge are so tight now. I could see something like that possibly happening. I mean, putting Casey Kane in the truck at Rockingham would be absolutely smart, because that's Casey's hands-down best track.
No doubt.
Put him in the truck at Rockingham for sure. And I don't know, Tony, it'd be hard to say. He would probably want to run one of the shorter races, which I would hinge my bets on that being IRP.
Yeah, that way it's kind of close to his home. Well, we'll see. I don't know. I'm still hesitant. I would think Casey Kane would be more likely than Tony Stewart, but I've been surprised before. I mean, heck, I don't have any crystal ball here on the counter. What the heck do I know? Let's see what else is going on here. 18-year-old Tyler Reif has been signed to drive for the 2026 season for Nice Motorsports. He'll take over their number 42 Chevrolet Silverado. He debuted in that truck at Phoenix in the season finale, actually claimed a top 10 finish in his first race. Reif has been in the ARCA Menards Series now for 3 years. He debuted at 15 years old, claimed runner-up points finishes in the ARCA Menards West Series in 2023 and 24, equaled that in ARCA Menards East, and the series just ended. If there is anything that gives me pause on this is the fact that he hasn't run a whole lot of the regular ARCA Menards Series. It's been the divisional series, West and East here. Is that a big deal, the fact that he's done that in the ARCA Menards East and West as opposed to the main series, or does that not bother you, Matt?
It really doesn't bother me because the East and West runs the same setup car as the National.
Okay.
It really doesn't bother me.
Okay. And he's experienced some of that competition. I mean, there's some crossover, isn't there?
There is a little bit, yes.
Okay.
He's ran a couple of National Series races.
Okay. He just hasn't done it on a full-time basis. So, all right. If it doesn't give you pause,
Correct,
then I'm
yeah.
not going to worry about it too much. And then there's McAnally Hilgeman Racing. They've announced Christian Eckes is returning for them in 2026. He's going to race their number 91 Chevrolet Silverado. He won the regular season title back in 2024. He's reteaming with crew chief Dave Ellens. They're seeking the series championship again as they head into 2026. You're going to be backed mostly by the organization that we talked about when it came to the 19 car in the Cup Series, Columbia Bank. But, of course, they're also going to have Napa and Old World Industries in there as well. So a nice rotating group of people for McAnally Hilgeman Racing. If we know anything about McAnally Hilgeman, they put a good truck out on the track. Christian Eckes is very good in the truck series. So this right here, I think, is something to watch. Watch out for these guys next year.
For sure. Yep.
All right. Let's see. We're going to wrap things up here in just a moment. Let's go ahead and take our final break here. When we come back, we'll switch over to IndyCar Series news. There's an IndyCar team might be having a problem. So we'll talk about them. Plus, the inaugural Grand Prix of Arlington has a new title sponsor. We'll talk about that. NHRA, potentially big news if the rumors are true. We'll talk about that. And big news out of Formula E. 10 teams, maybe back to 11 soon.
We will be right back with more on the Championship Racing Network. We're back to the Championship Racing Network.
Final segment of this show already here as we talk IndyCar series here, and Prema Racing just joined NASCAR, or I'm sorry, IndyCar, just for the 2025 season, first year that they were in there. Despite not having a charter available, they did perform pretty admirably, but their future is kind of in doubt because their parent company, Prema itself, is doing pretty good, but DC Racing Solutions is their parent company, and they are having trouble. Again, not really with the IndyCar team. It's their sports car racing teams, Iron Lynx and Iron Dames. Team boss Renee Rosen talked to media this week, said that they are still planning to field 2 cars in IndyCar for the 2026 season, and that they're working very hard to ensure that they are going to happen and are, in his words, quote, evaluating different solutions, unquote, to ensure that racing will continue next year. Obviously, sponsorship will help. His exact quote, honestly, we are looking at and evaluating different solutions. The program has been, I would say, a great success over the year. We started from scratch, took pole in the Indy 500, consistently in the top 10 for the last few events. Of course, it hasn't been an easy season on the material end, but we are working really hard. We will see soon what the future will bring. And he noted that they plan to bring back their 2025 drivers, Callum Ilott and Robert Schwartzman. Robert Schwartzman was just a couple of points away from claiming the Rookie of the Year. And like he said, this was a team that progressed, Matt, over the course of the year and to the point where they were fairly consistently appearing in the top 10 over the last, 4 or 5 races of the 2025 season. So they've got promise. They just have to have the backing. Yeah,
they showed a lot of promise, and one race that sticks out to me for sure was Gateway, because they were in position. If they had just stretched it just a little bit, they probably could have won the race with Callum Ilott.
That's true.
They were in great position. I mean, they've got everything there. They just need a little bit that extra financial boost.
Let's see what their parent company is able to get done. That's the big question. Then there's next year's inaugural Grand Prix of Arlington. That's going to happen on March 13th through the 15th of next year in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. This is that one that's happening on that street course right in and around that whole sports area, right around AT&T Stadium, which is the home of the NFL's Dallas Cowboys, Globe Life Field, which is home of the Major League Baseball Texas Rangers. They got themselves a title sponsor. They announced it on Wednesday of this week. That title sponsor, Java House, makes the official name of the race the Java House Grand Prix of Arlington. Okay. Java House was actually not begun in Texas. It was begun in 2019 in Carmel, Indiana. Since then, they've grown around the nation with cafes offering their products in select stores as well. You can find out more information, and you can actually, I think, get tickets for this event now by going on to grandprixofarlington.com. But if you go to javahouse.com, you can find out more information about where you might be able to get their stuff. I'm not a big coffee drinker myself, but if I were, I might go check these guys out. We'll have to see how well they do. I just like the fact that we're getting new and different sponsors into the racing world. That, I think, might actually be the more important way of looking at it.
For sure.
All right, to the NHRA and IHRA. While the season finale event got rained out, postseason award ceremony went on as scheduled at the Pechanga Resort and Casino in Southern California Tuesday of this week, where they honored 2-time champions Doug Kalitta and Austin Prock, first-time champions Dallas Glenn and Richard Gadsden. They also honored Spencer Hyde as the 2025 NHRA Rookie of the Year. The funny car pilot was able to claim that by running every national event, actually won the Too Fast, Too Tasty Mission Foods Challenge in Vegas, was the #1 qualifier in the first chase for the championship event in Reading, Pennsylvania, and made the final round twice this year in Epping, New Hampshire, and then again in Sonoma, California. So congratulations to Spencer Hyde. He claims the 2025 Rookie of the Year. Then there is this very new, very elite club that the NHRA has just begun. It is entitled the 1,000 Round Win Club. And you ask, how elite is it? It started with 2 members. One of them you can probably predict if you know anything about the NHRA. It is the legend, John Force. The other is actually 6-time Pro Stock Car title winner, Greg Anderson. Each got commemorative plaques, which you can see those if you're looking at CRN Live on YouTube, plus special custom embroidered tuxedo jackets to signify their membership to the exclusive club. On the plaque, it reads in part, quote, "This remarkable milestone places you amongst the elite of the elite in motorsports. In the world of motorsports celebrates this achievement with you and your team. It is a testament to your enduring excellence, perseverance, and legendary career." John Force was, as far as they can tell, the very first driver to claim this milestone. Record keepers determined he won his 1,000th round back on May 4th of 2008 at the O'Reilly Midwest Nationals presented by Castrol, which happened at track you just mentioned, Worldwide Tech Raceway at Gateway, the drag strip out there specifically. Record keeping shows that Force has claimed in his very storied career just ended. Unfortunately, we talked about his retirement last week on the show. 1,460 round wins in his career. Whew, big time. As for Anderson, he crossed the 1,000 mark earlier this year at the Super Grip NHRA Thunder Valley Nationals. That was Bristol, June 8th. Currently stands at 1,022 round wins and counting. Says he's not close to retiring if he has anything to say about it. The idea is to, the idea is to have all members of the 1,000 round win club wear their jackets to the annual things like the Don Garlitz Drag Racing Hall of Fame induction ceremonies, the NHRA award ceremony events. The next person up could be Ron Capps. Ron Capps has 939 round wins as of the end of the 2025 season, and of course, counting. So we'll find out. Speaking of John Force Racing, this happened just really within the last, 12 to 24 hours specifically. Rumors began to break just yesterday that claims Austin Prock, his father John, and his brother Thomas might be set to leave John Force Racing, and this is right on the heels of claiming their second straight funny car title. Could it be true? Maybe. Nobody from either Force or the Prock families are talking at this time, but this seems like an odd situation. You have been dominant in this car for 2 straight years. You have won 2 straight funny car division titles. Why would you leave? Number one, maybe you're starting in a team of your own, or number two, something went really bad inside the hallways of John Force Racing and you just feel like you can't get along with them anymore. But either way, all of this is just rumors, nothing concrete from anybody who I would consider an extremely reliable source. The reliable sources that I am reading that are talking about this insist, just like I am right now, it's just a rumor. So let me ask the resident driver, what, after winning 2 straight titles with an owner, what might cause you to go, I'm good, I'm going over there?
I don't know. Maybe a really, really large financial boost, maybe. I don't know.
Somebody just came to him with a really big check?
Maybe so.
Okay.
Maybe so. I mean, I've been seeing all that too, and it's been kind of hard to decipher.
That's an understatement.
Just being point blank, it's hard to decipher.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see whether there's any validity to this. Again, this could be somebody just trying to start something and hoping it sticks. Time will tell. Then a couple of weeks ago, we noted Ron Capps has been finalizing the start of a top fuel arm of his race team, picked 21-year-old Matty Gordon to be the pilot, actually did so back in April. Sponsorship, as we talked about a couple of weeks ago, is going to come from his very own tool brand to be distributed by Napa Auto Parts called Carlisle. But at the time, he didn't name a crew chief. He waited until this week. That man is Rob Flynn. Flynn's been in and around the NHRA for over 30 years. It includes 36 wins as a nitro tuner in either funny car or top fuel. But Cap said what attracted him the most likely was his work with rookie drivers in the past. He's helped out drivers like Jasmine Salinas most recently in her 2024 top fuel debut with Scrappers Racing, that family organization, by the way, kind of on hold right now. But he's also worked with drivers like Leah Pruitt, Doug Kalita, Sean Langdon, and Tony Schumacher, among others, in his noted career. I would say Rob Flynn is probably a pretty good call to work with young Matty Gordon, don't you think?
An extremely, extremely good call.
Yeah.
Extremely good.
It's going to be interesting to watch this because, I mean, there is a learning curve. And we saw it. Take, for example, Tony Stewart. And look how over the course of the last couple of years, in year one, filling in for his wife, Leah, he was struggling. But as the season went on, we started to see how the reaction time got to be more consistent and really, really good. And then all of a sudden he started making to the point where he was advancing through and started to get to maybe a final or two. And then this year actually won a couple of events in Top Fuel. I could easily see this out of Maddie Gordon. She is an accomplished, experienced racer in lower divisions of the NHRA, so it's not like she's unfamiliar with how to do this. She knows how to do it, but now she gets into a situation where she's in arguably the most powerful car of any of the divisions within the NHRA in the Mission Foods Drag Racing Series, and she gets this kind of veteran presence that's going to help her out, calm her down, and say, hey, listen, you've got this right. We need to work on this. And that's really what it is. He's got to fine-tune her in addition to the car, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
You know, I just... Yes, it's a very, very NASCAR thing. But if you think about Robert Duvall, Tom Cruise, and Days of Thunder, they go out, they spend all day at that track just practicing. And at the end of the day, Robert Duvall looks at Randy Quaid's character and goes, 50 laps his way, 50 laps my way. I was 5 seconds faster because he fine-tuned his driver over the course of the day. This is exactly what we're talking about with Rob Flynn and Maddie Gordon.
Bingo. Absolutely right.
All right. Jeff says about the whole Austin Prock situation, got to be money or personal issues with John Force Racing. Funny thing is I've never really heard anybody have a massive personal problem with John Force.
No, it's got to be something money related.
Okay. All right. I would tend to agree with it. I mean, yeah, maybe somebody does have a personal problem with it, but basically everybody I ever hear talk about John Force, man, they just love the guy. I don't know. It's weird. For the first time in Formula E's relatively short history, they're going to be running in a season with 10 teams instead of 11. Remember, McLaren decided to bow out. They couldn't find a buyer, so they just shut everything down and left the series down a team. It's going to be a one-year deal, apparently. The Porsche team is coming to the rescue, so they say. Beginning with the 2026-2027 season, or season 13 for the series, Porsche is set to field 2 teams under their own name. And they've got a customer team, so that means Porsche will be in charge of supplying the battery packs for 6 race cars. That second team, alongside the likes of well-known auto brands like Jaguar, Stellantis, and Nissan, plus well-known racing chassis maker European car brand Lola. Formula E feels like once they get back to 11, that the future of the all-electric single-seater series is now solid. We can get producer John to bring that car up, by the way. This is the look of what the 2025-2026 racer is going to look like. It's not vastly different, really, from the front wheels to the back, but that front wing is really what kind of changed. That was what I first noted about it. That front wing is the big change. So if you were looking for what a a next season car is going to look like, that's it. And then one final note here: if you're in need of a reserve driver in any particular series, to be able to grab a driver who has 144 races in your series under his belt, including 12 wins and 27 podium finishes, I'd say that's probably a pretty good choice. Nissan just announced that Sam Bird has been signed as their reserve and development driver for the upcoming season. He's been in the series since it began in 2014. His most recent win came in the 2023-24 season in the Sao Paulo E-Prix, racing for the now defunct McLaren Formula E operation. They used Nissan powertrains, so now he goes to the parent company. He's the backup plan if either Oliver Rowland or Norman Nato need to fill in or go racing in some other series. He's also going to work with a development driver in a young lady by the name of Abby Pulling. We'll have to see whether or not he can be the real kind of mentor, but it does seem weird to think that he couldn't have found a full-time ride. I get it. We're down a team from 11 to 10, but still, for a guy with that resume to not be a full-time driver seems really, really odd, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah, very odd. Very odd.
We'll see whether or not that changes. All right, Matt, get better. Please concentrate on your health. Hopefully, you'll be able to do the podcast, which we're planning on doing on Tuesday of this week on Thanksgiving. But either way, we want you to get better, and that's the most important part, okay?
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. Happy Thanksgiving to you, Matt. Like I said, hopefully I'll be able to be doing the podcast with you on Tuesday. In the meantime, we'll go ahead and let him go now. I will let you know, yes, we are going to do the podcast this week. It will happen. It will be recorded on Tuesday. We'll post it as quickly as we possibly can. But the other side of it is, next weekend, we're going to take Thanksgiving weekend off. So that means the next big show happens 2 weeks from now. Hope you stick around. Hope you have a great Thanksgiving weekend, whether you're hosting or whether you're traveling. Either way, have a great time. Be safe, be careful, enjoy it. Eat lots of turkey, watch a lot of football, catch whatever racing you possibly can. We'll talk to you in 2 weeks right here on the Championship Racing Network. On behalf of myself, Matt, and producer John.
Been a presentation of the Championship Racing Network.
WDNG 1450 AM and W2360.